My name is Kishu Gomes, Chairman Tourism Development Authority and Tourism Promotions Bureau. I'm glad to be occupying this position to be able to do something really good for the country in order to achieve economic prosperity for the 21 million people who are in some areas struggling to meet their needs and wants. So as tourism chairman, I have an obligation in order to keep growing the tourism industry so that they can have a better future. So in terms of developing tourism in Sri Lanka, because it's globally very, very competitive in terms of industry, we are looking at some big decisions in order to increase the numbers. One such decision is to see if we can offer free visas to some selected countries.
About this, the free visa system, sir, when it will be implemented and what are the country will be get this free visa, sir?
Okay. So in terms of free visa, the main countries we are looking at currently are the European countries, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Those are the key countries, and Honorable Prime Minister's office is actually looking at a few more countries. So those countries will have free visas, but also there will most likely be another category where visa is required, but visa will be given free of charge. So that again will be a big boost for the industry. So in terms of implementation, original plan was to try and implement that from 1st April. Given that now to 1st April we have limited time, it might get pushed back by a week or so. But government's intention is to make that happen as quickly as possible.
As you said, sir, what are the countries not included on the free visas?
Based on the discussions I have been a part of, most likely China will not be included as a destination for free visa. India might not be included. So like that, certain countries will not be included unless they reciprocate. Because we know as Sri Lankans, when we have to go to these countries, we have to get visa. Even to the Europe, it's the same thing. But of course,
they can get a visa and come.
They can, following the same process, they apply online and they get the visa, just over a couple of hours or couple of days. So
regarding the passenger vessel that you had today at the meeting in the passenger vessel between India and Sri Lanka, how do you feel about that process, sir?
Yeah, having a sea route connecting the two countries is definitely a good move. But what we have to bear in mind is that Palali airport is being developed to be able to accommodate larger aircraft. So with that coming in, as to what the demand will be for sea transportation is an analysis assessment one has to do. So if we believe that there will be enough tourists, who will be using that facility, then surely you have a strong business case to do that. So we are in the process of assessing the viability of that, and at today's meeting there were certain decisions made to appoint a project committee in order to look into many aspects of it and then to take the final, so that they will perceive Sri Lanka as being a tourism friendly country where they don't need to pay money, but more than not having to pay money, the easiness of being able to access Sri Lanka. So that's something on the cards, and we will soon receive the cabinet approval, and then obviously the process will have to be, new processes will have to be implemented in order to make that happen, to get the right benefit out of that decision. So apart from that, we are developing new tourism destinations in Sri Lanka, so that we will have not just the conventional traditional products, but new products for the visitors to come and enjoy. And if we have people who have come and seen the places we'll be marketing for quite a long time, for them to have more and more reasons to keep coming back and enjoy these new products. And in terms of positioning Sri Lanka, we came up with the So Sri Lanka campaign, which is gaining momentum, and in the recent past we launched Sri Lanka tourism in the eyes of animals, through animal eyes as we call it. and that is receiving extremely good response across.
Promote tourism in other countries, especially Middle East and Europe country.
So in every country, every targeted country, we have programs running. We have communication on digital platforms. We are doing road shows. We are taking part at each and every global tourism exhibitions. So all that is happening, and then of course various tour operators based in those countries, we are working with them as well. We are inviting bloggers to come look at Sri Lanka's new destinations, new products, and then post them on their sites as well, because as we all know, digital medium is becoming even more powerful. So we are just trying to capitalize on that. So for every
As the chairman also the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, then East is last few years the Eastern development is tourism are booming. So have you take any measure to promote especially the new destination like Pasiguda and Arugambe and Nilavali, because it's a new destination after the 30 years war. So have you taken any initiatives to promote these areas?
Yes, surely Arugambe and Pasiguda are two areas we need to keep developing, and there'll be windsurfing events happening, and then some other adventure type of events, global events happening in those areas, so that they will become, those two destinations will become more popular in the global arena. So that's being done. And apart from that, the ferry service that we want to launch, covering the entire island, going around the island, will facilitate better transportation, going from one tourist attraction to another. So that's something surely we can use in order to promote more tourism in those two areas. And then we are also trying to develop Kuchaveli as a new tourism area, using the infrastructure that's already available, and of course making investments in order to elevate the level of facilities in those areas. So there is a plan in order to further develop tourism in the eastern area.
How do you feel about the interconnectivity in the domestic airline? Now there are a few months that the Honorable Prime Minister is making initiative, and what type of communication the tourist board can do it to promote the domestic airline in Sri Lanka?
Surely, domestic airlines are a must, and without that, given that our road conditions are not the best, and it takes 8 hours to get to the eastern area, domestic airlines should be certainly promoted. So one impediment or one issue we have is the high prices charged by some of these operators. So it's a chicken and egg situation. If they reduce the price, they might not be able to viably run, and at the same time, at the given prices, they might not be able to grow the tourism numbers as well. So it's all about getting the right balance.
According to the airline operators says, there are some issues has to be resolved by them. They say one like the air transport, 15% air transport has to be waived off, the fuel consumption has to come down, and they're looking for free landing in the northeast area airport like Jaffna, Pala, and China Bay and Ampara Betty. And so they need duty-free concern of the equipment. On that tourist board, can you have an initiative with the Minister of Finance? Can we sit you?
Well, all what we can do is to support those moves, and all the issues you just highlighted are real issues, and the government should certainly look at them positively and extend any support the government can extend. From the tourism ministry side, all what we can do is to support that, create a voice, and then also make an appeal to the government to try and consider these things being changes that are required for the country to be able to promote domestic flights. And with that, I'm sure we can achieve a greater level of tourist satisfaction, and promote some of these new locations, so that we can ease off the congestions in some of the other areas which are sometimes overcrowded. So that's the way to go, and that's our future.
What is the foreign exchange from the tourism that the government expecting, sir?
Last year in 2018 we had an income of 4.4 billion US, and this year's target is 5 billion, to surpass 5 billion USD. That is with 3 million tourists, and last year in terms of number of tourists we had 2.33 million. And when that goes up to 3 million tourists, surely the income, net income, will be exceeding $5 billion. That's the estimate we have currently.
Do you have any suggestion to have interconnect to improve more flights in another Europe country to fly over to Sri Lanka?
Sure. I mean, these are things that are being contemplated, and we on a weekly basis gets this kind of request, and there will be more airlines wanting to fly to Colombo. So many airlines are negotiating with the government as we speak, and these will certainly boost the tourism industry, and more airlines, better it is for us to be able to grow the numbers.
Thank you.